Okay, here we go. Episode 2 of Raising Chetna, and we're going to talk about integrating within. Well, Raising Chetna is not going to be topic based episodes, but I still need some sort of a starting point. And recently, I did a poll on Instagram and I said that the reason we feel a lack of energy is because we have split energy. And then I did a poll asking people if they wanted to hear about integrating within. And from some people who I think are already doing good work in their life said, yes, we want to hear about it. So it sort of makes sense to integrate those two conversations, which is this episode that I anyway want to talk about. So, so many things, so many pathways have opened up for me. Raising Chetna is evolving, and through I've been very excited about it, and I've heard a lot of positive feedback, and I've got received a lot of excitement from people about this, and I have put out a lot of excitement about it. So, Raising Chetna is about my journey, and as I talk about my journey, it's sort of the behind the scenes of This Is Life.xyz, which is my work, which is my platform where I take one-on-one clients, my spiritual platform where I both come up with as well as curate spiritual practices for people, custom spiritual practices for people, and it's also the platform from which I do a lot of pro bono work, meaning that I work on projects with animals, I work on projects with nature, I work on projects with kids, and I work on projects with low income groups of people. But this conversation, these episodes, Raising Chetna, they are about the behind the scenes of This Is Life. So for me, there is no separation. There is no separation between my life and my work. I don't have Monday to Fridays and then weekends. That mindset I don't have, and I have worked to eliminate that mindset from my life. But there is still like part of work that is done just for myself, part of work that is done for giving, and part of work that is done for receiving. And in that sense, Raising Chetna, the conversations at Raising Chetna are behind the scenes of This Is Life.xyz. So, having covered that, now what was the question? The question was, we're going to talk about, in the context that I just set for Raising Chetna, we are going to talk about integrating within. And why? Because when you are unintegrated, there is a lot of leakage of energy. There's a lot of waste of energy that happens. You don't feel fulfilled because you're not living your full life. You are a being that has been given a certain amount of energy to come and have this experience, this 3D experience on earth, and you are not able to make the most of this experience. This is what lies at the center of all your life's frustrations, all your life's anger, all your life's dissatisfactions. It is not the outer stuff, it is not the outer achievements, it is not the outer manifestations that lie at the core of the dissatisfactions. Because here, think about it this way: if it was the outer manifestations, then when those outer manifestations would happen, then we would be satisfied and we would reach a point of satisfaction, but we don't. Anyway, so coming back to integrating within and Raising Chetna as an integrated conversation. For me, like I said in the previous episode, for those that heard and those that didn't, I would recommend that you hear this. You can hear this in any order that you like. You will still have good takeaways, but if you hear this in the order that it is posted, it may make a little more sense to you. But it's not like I'm trying to post in any chronological series about my life. So do as you feel called to do. But like I shared in the previous episode, I went through a process of adopting myself from my parents. a lot of my viewers may have seek therapy or may have heard about therapy now. And in therapy, we often talk about the past and we say, okay, yes, 11. We say, okay, this happened in my past, my parents did this, that person did this. And then we go through a process of layer by layer, peeling those layers and then forgiving people. After a point, that process is not exciting to most people that I know. That's why people out of therapy improve, they're happier, they feel like they've made progress, they feel lighter. But I don't feel that the root cause all the time goes away. It of course depends on your therapist, depends on you, depends on the inner work you do, depends on whether you are able to take the learnings and the feedback and the understanding that you get with your therapist and bring them and integrate it into your holistic life. So I'm not commenting on, I went to therapy for a little bit of period there when I was in my early days of healing, and I know a lot of people that do, and that it does help your path, but it's not going to be the only thing that will help your path. Holistic healing is what's going to work. So as I went through that process of adopting myself from my parents, I realized that there is a lot of noise in my head. There is a lot of conversation that happens in my head. I try to do something, and there is an opposing voice that comes up and says something. There's always that opposing voice, there's always that opposing conversation, there is always that contradictory idea that feels like it's not flowing. And well, when I say always, I mean till you are healed. And it also depends on the level of your mind, right? I've been having these discussions very openly and in details with a friend of mine who's also from a similar field of healing. And we were discussing that everybody has energies allotted differently. So somebody will have energies allotted to the mind much more than the body. So that's me. Somebody would have it allotted to the body much more. So they would be people that want to go out and do physical hard work, and that's actually pretty cool. There is somebody who would have more energies allotted to the emotions. So for them, handling their emotions becomes a priority. Somebody who would have energy allotted to their energy, as in think of it as the computers of back in the day where you were splitting the hard drive into different drives, the capacity of the hard drive into different drives. So that bifurcation is there for us. Integration, for me, as I have seen thus far, means multiple things. It means to integrate the voices in my head. So if I'm doing something, I don't want that opposing voice to come up and pull me down. So don't think that I said that I don't want it to come up. I said I don't want it to come up and pull me down. So we'll get to what that means in a bit. At the same time, integration for me, integrating within also means for me to integrate my feminine and masculine. So all of this is essentially the same thing. I'm using different terminologies so that maybe you have a deeper insight, and also refining my own understanding, because all of this is viewed stuff for me, like things that I have in my experience viewed about my life, but I may not have necessarily sat down and analyzed everything, right? So it's about integrating my feminine and masculine. It's about removing toxicity. It's about removing the need for having to go through the same cycle over and over again. And integrating within, for me, is also about becoming whole. So then when I talk about these bifurcations between mind, body, energy, and emotions, integrating then to me would mean something like, yeah, if my mind is stronger, how do I make the most of my strength? What do I do? How do I make a working model that is both a working model and also has the space for flexibility to upgrade as and when needed? So where would I go next? What would I say next? Let's take some example. You know, the voices in your head are generally of your parents. Therapy is not wrong about that, because for people that, and if it's not your parents, it is the people that we put in the role of our parents. So it's not always just your parents, anybody that you were influenced by, who you thought deserved the right to be in those positions, the leader masculine and the leader feminine. These words don't exist, I'm making it up. The two identities, and that doesn't have to be just two people, but the two spots, and then everybody that filled up those spots, that shaped me really. Now I want to bring in authenticity a little here. What I noticed on my journey is that when I was doing at different times what the masculine side of me wanted, and at different other times the feminine side of me wanted, what was often getting rejected was what was I wanting to do. So stay with me and this will get more and more clear, I hope. What does that mean? There may be a thought, and I have had this thought, that oh, I'm not very good at maintaining the house and I want to get better and better. And actually I'm pretty good at maintaining the house, but there is a certain expectation that you also build for yourself. So my expectations of myself is very high. So no matter how good I am at maintaining the house, I don't recognize that. Until I don't recognize how great I am at maintaining my house, it doesn't give me fulfillment. The toxic way and the old paradigm way, the old voice in my head way to go about it could be, for me it was, okay, do more, do more, do more. If my house has a certain amount of cleanliness to it, now let's bring more organization to it. If my house has a certain amount of organization to it, now let's bring better organization to it. Create better systems. Declutter even more. Now what happens is, because I was doing a lot of this from a place of unhealed masculine and unhealed feminine, what that means is that from ideas that I basically adopted from my parents without really imbibing them and making them my own. So I'm trying to mimic somebody. I'm trying to be somebody else. I am not that person, right? No matter how close I am to my family members or how unclose I am to my family members, irrespective of those two, I am not them. I'm an individual soul on a journey, must remember. So I have my own path, and life will feel super easy and super joyful when I am really on my own path. When I'm on another's path, when I'm on a path influenced by all these other forces, which are either my parents or people that I put in their spots, then life will move. It has to move. That's like the clock is ticking, so life is going to move, but it's not going to be as smooth. And I want it to be smooth. The way I think of this analogy in my own head is, a planet moves, or these stars, they are also constantly moving, and they are round because they are moving on in their own orbits. So they are moving on their own path, and as they are moving on their path, they're doing a great job moving. They're also influenced by a lot of things. That the whole science of astrology is based on how planets are behaving. They are influenced, and then therefore they influence us. But they're round, right? They're moving in their most correct pathways, in the pathway that is absolutely laid out for them. When we move a little to left or a little to right to the pathway that is laid out to us, that's where all the dis-ease starts to creep in. This is all that I'm sharing. I'm not sharing this as a, oh, listen to me and follow this. I'm saying that this is what I have experienced, right? This is not a coaching call. In a coaching call, I would be listening to your story and be sharing very particular custom solutions to what you need. This is a general of, okay, this is what I have observed and this is what has stood the test of time for me always. So coming back to toxic feminine, toxic masculine, coming back to why things work and don't work in our favor, coming to the idea of, okay, my cat is 11 is getting real zoomy, so something. Coming back to the idea of why sometimes we feel high and sometimes we feel low. Why don't we feel moderately good all the time, right? Because yes, I want to feel really excited and I want to party and I want to have a good time and wow, that Saturday night was awesome. But that's good for a while. But that's not what I'm after. I'm after a good, consistent feeling, which also goes up and down. But I'm after the good, consistent feeling raising as I grow. And grow not by age. I don't think about age in that sense anymore. Um, but as I grow as a being. So starting to bring back some of the stuff, because I didn't realize it's already been 15 minutes since I've been talking. Uh, so as I have gone through the process of raising Chetna, I have found that unawares to me, there was a lot of toxic femininity and a toxic masculinity within me. I want to do the house in a certain way. And you think, oh wow, my feminine side is growing. I'm wanting to do the house. That's true. But as my feminine grows, it's creating a contradiction. It's creating a pull, an idea against the old way of being, where Chetna was like, I don't care about how the house is. So the shift has happened. It's not my responsibility. Somebody else will take care of it. I'm not made for this. I'm made for better things. From that, from the idea of toxic masculinity, from the idea of I am made for better things, this is below me, I'm integrating in some way and saying, no, this is my house, I want to take care of it. And this is an idea. It's don't take it so black and white. I'm sharing my journey of years in very few words. So if you keep a mindset of judgment over here, and if you keep a mindset of, oh, let me just hear her story because I want to know, you're not going to gain anything out of it. But if you keep an open mind and be like, you know what, even I've experienced this in my life, you will also get to hear my story, but you will also gain that. So try and do it in a more do it with like, it's your time. So how do you want to use it? Do you want to use your time in a way that benefits your life, or do you want to use your time in a way that entertains your life? That's your call, but you're free to do whichever one you want to do. But so from being this Chetna that said, I don't care about my house, but was disturbed because I do care about my house. Everybody cares about themselves, right? House is just an analogy. It's how you do one thing is how you do everything. So I don't care about my house. I don't care about myself. I don't care about my needs. I don't care about the people around me. It's all saying the same thing. So from this heavy, toxic, masculine energy to a slightly softer energy of I do care about my house, but still influenced by the energy of how we're going to go about it. And we're going to go about it in a very rigid manner. We're going to throw away everything. So initially, when we begin to transform, I have noticed this over and over again now, both with myself and the number of clients that I've worked with, that when we begin to transform, initially we may overcorrect. So we may start, if we're going to go minimal, suddenly we will start to throw out things that we actually need and will have to end up purchasing later. So from that hard toxic maleness to that, no, but I want to do it. How do I want to do it? I want to do it in a very efficient manner. And then realizing and doing the dance, and then realizing the middle path, right? The middle path is the smooth part. The middle path is my path for each of us. So I went through this dance. I just gave one very basic, raw, vague example. People that know me know how my house is transformed into a beautiful space over the years. I did not know anything about taking care of myself or a home, and I now get calls from people and I advise them. So for me, that has been a beautiful journey and a beautiful transformation. And I also reached a toxic feminine side where I felt like I was getting taken too much advantage of. But I didn't know any better. I'm such a sweet person. I allow that to happen also. So you have to do the dance. Now, this was the story that I shared to talk a bit about the toxicity that happens. Now I want to talk a little bit about the integration. How do you deal with this toxicity that comes up, right? I tried a lot of ways. I tried to journal. I tried to listen to other people. I tried to do this, that, and the other. The easiest and the fastest path that I found is allowing the toxicity, right? So when you take a step as bold as saying that, when you adopt yourself from your parents, and I'm not saying you have to do that, but at some point, no matter who you are and what relationship you have with your parents or people that you put in those power positions, you have to realize that your life is your own making, that you are responsible for your life. Excuse me. What you do, what happens in your life. Can be people, there can be family. I have the most beautiful soul family in my life now. These people can come and be support, can come and be guidance, and can come and hold space for you once in a while when you fall. But you will feel the true power of being a sovereign being when you become, you take charge of your life. When you say, yes, all of this is there for me as and when needed, but how am I being? And that capacity is different in each people. You ace your capacity. You do well within your capacity. Don't compare with left and right. So don't compare with your neighbors, your friends, even your family. Maybe your adult sibling has certain qualities that you don't have. So don't try to adjust, account for those. But you will feel powerful. You will feel complete when you are in your power. You will feel complete when you are in your power. You will not feel complete when you start giving your power away. You will start to feel empty and drained. So no matter what sort of a relationship you have with these people, your sovereignty is essential. That's why you're an individual. That's why you were born alone. That's why you die alone. So how do you integrate? One of the ways I found of integration was allowing all of the toxicity to come up. So when you adopt yourself, like I was saying, it's a very big step, and all sorts of toxicity comes up. And whatever comes up, so one of the things that I faced was knowing what needs working on and what doesn't need working on. Because what to a man with a hammer, everything looks like a nail, right? So to a coach, everything looks like something that needs working on. So step one for me was relaxing, being like, okay, instead of trying to solve everything, let's just lay out everything on the table. So, and I'm saying these as steps right now to you, to the audience. It was not necessarily such clean cut steps for me, but now when I'm reflecting on my journey, I want to reflect in some sort of an organized way. So one step that I definitely saw was just laying everything out on the table. What is it that we have? Let's take a look at it. Another step was acceptance and lack of judgment. Very important. You cannot say that I am going to transform. You have, and I'm going to have a lot of issues about what I am transforming from, right? Like the caterpillar cannot say, I want to be a butterfly, and the way to become a butterfly is to start hating the caterpillar. You can't do that. So acceptance, and acceptance from a place of lack of judgment. Here I want to put a asterisk and say, sometimes I get calls and questions like, oh, what is the practice for this? I cannot give you a practice for this till I know you, till I'm working with you. I can tell you these sort of general guidances. I don't know what practice is needed for you. I don't know your current balance of masculine, feminine, your way of thinking, your upbringing, your way of relating to the world, what practices will suit you, will not suit you, your energy. Do you even need to pursue that? Is there something else that you can pursue right now? For all of this, you and I need to sit down face to face, look into each other's eyes, feel each other's energy, and then I can guide you beautifully. But here I can tell you the general stuff. So asterisk is over. Coming back, laying out stuff on the table and seeing it for what it is, rather than, so now I know that I'm dealing with my toxic masculinity, I'm dealing with my toxic femininity. Now don't bring that same thing that I'm dealing with to the table while I'm dealing with it. You know what I mean? If I have fear, let's say, or if I have greed or lust, or if I have anything that I want to work on and improve from, or eventually even get rid of in my life, and get rid of does not mean that those ideas don't stay in your life. Get rid of only for me has come to mean that that thing loses its power over me. I am in charge. I am the sovereign unit that is in charge of all of these tiny, tiny multiple ideas that are running my life rather than they running my life. Like they are working for me. My mind is working for me rather than I am working for my mind. Simply put, it's that. So if I have fear, let me not bring fear to the table when I'm dealing with fear, because now that's a never ending cycle. That's not going to work, right? How am I to deal with fear while sitting in fear? So the awareness comes. So we talked about putting things out on the table, exposing yourself to yourself. You don't have to do this with anybody. You don't have to like write a public video like I'm doing. You don't have to do it. And I'm also choosing the details I'm sharing, right? So you have sovereignty, you have freedom. Do it at your own pace. Exposing yourself, putting it on the table, having acceptance for where I am, because only when I know I am at a certain place can I begin my journey from that place. And then bringing awareness that, okay, fusing awareness into the situation, that if I'm dealing with fear, if I'm dealing with, a lot of people have ADHD these days. If I'm dealing with ADHD, if I'm dealing with lack of focus, if I'm dealing with troubled, if I'm dealing with anxiety, let's say, let me not have anxiety about anxiety. Let me not have a lack of focus about lack of focus. Let me not have ADHD about ADHD. Let's accept I have ADHD. Let's accept I have lack of focus. Let's accept I have. So, integrating means beginning to accept more and more. Yeah, this is me. But remembering this is me right now. Remembering my wholeness, remembering my greatness, that everything changes, that everything evolves. I, as a sovereign human being, give it direction. Which direction is it going to evolve in? Which direction is it going to move in? That's the role I play. I don't play any other role. That's the role I play, right? I'm the driver of the car. I'm the navigator of the situation. But I have wholeness. I come from wholeness, right? There is a beautiful Sanskrit shlok that goes, Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. It means I come from the whole. I am the whole. The whole stays whole when I come from it. And I stay whole as even though I come from the whole. The whole cannot be divided in that way. A drop of water carries all the properties of all of the water that is there. So it's speaking at that level. So knowing my wholeness, remembering that if I am laying out all my truths that are truths for me right now on the table, it's because I can do it. It's because I have the capability of the entire universe's resource at my back to support me through this, because it's not my task, it's the universe's task being carried out through me. So for me, that was an important part. So all of my spiritual journey, which has been a long journey, up to the point where I adopted myself and started to really face myself. And at each level you will feel you're facing yourself, but when I really got down to it, and I said, now wherever I deal with, is why I had a heavy lunch, is once and for all. So integrating is about bringing that back, that okay, owning your stuff. Now after that, I saw that these contradicting voices that I talked about, they come up. So when I am in fear, a voice will come up, a judgmental voice will come out about being in fear. Drop the judgment. Practice dropping the judgment. And how do you drop the judgment? By being in acceptance. That's what I did. By keeping a certain amount of distance from my thought and emotion. Then you'll be like, how do I do it? What are the practices? Just as you listen to this, try and bring it in a small way into your life. You will know what are the practices, and if you need more practices, come work with me. I am a fantastic coach. You and I are going to have a great time if we sign each other on. So laying it down, working through it with a lot of patience and compassion is also very important. right? Like, you don't have to get it right the first time. You're playing a game. Again, come remember your wholeness. When you remember your wholeness in the background, and that's the space a coach holds for you, right? I hold it for myself, and I have recently done 3 sessions with a coach. But that's the work we do as a coach. We hold space. So, remembering your wholeness, remembering and allowing yourself the freedom to play, and within that play, improve, right? If you are somebody who plays sports, you want to improve every day. But if you're going to force yourself to improve, if you're going to judge yourself to improve, you're not really going to improve, because eventually, in the moment of playing, in the moment of taking the swing of the bat, if you're a cricketer, or the swing of the tennis racket, if you play tennis and basketball or whatever, even swimming, no matter what you do, in that moment of performance, the best performance is in a state of flow. And all the practice, all the pre-practice we do is to remove all of those ideas that become obstacles in our path of flow. So now I'm going to do like a super wrap, because 31 minutes and like 40 minutes is like the higher end point for me, and I don't want to put in any time editing this video. So in terms of a super wrap, you've got everything on the table. You pick up whatever comes up. Life will, when you start to do all this, your greatness, your wholeness, your God, your universe is going to support you massively. You just have to be consistent, and you just have to say, I'm going to do it, and you have to not give up. That's the job that you do. And after a point, you will put in 1 and life will put in 10. And once you do a few reps of that, you will put in 1 and life will put in 100. So life will become that awesome and that smooth for you. It will work for you, because your spiritual assets are growing now. So yeah, looking at it, picking it up one by one, or allowing life to pick it up for you as it happens, and seeing that so far things that I have done have been done to please an outside entity, to please a mother figure or a father figure, or to please an idea in the society, to achieve something in the outside world, to allow that to exist, to allow that this has existed, and that it's okay that it has existed. But it is now time for me as a soul to return home. I'm sharing really what I do. And I don't always necessarily do it in these steps, but essentially, roughly, its expression may look different each time, but roughly, now I'm coming home to myself. There's a beautiful Hindi phrase, jab jago tab savera. Whenever you realize, you just begin then and there. I have all my power, I have all my knowingness, I have all the love, all the support, I have all the guidance from the universe right here, right now. I have no obligations. I have no obligations to be consistent to the previous moment. I have no goals that I need to achieve. I'm a free soul having an experience. I don't need to create anything, to prove anything to anybody. Really deeply realizing this, deeply allowing yourself to realize this. And then from that place of expansiveness, whatever you pick up, you allow that to stay. You don't force it out. Forcing out was the old way of being. It was the toxic way of being. Shunning my own darkness is not the way to light. Allowing my darkness to be dark is me shining my light on it. And when it has been all of the darkness that it needs to be, it will come into the light, because that is the flow of the universe. So my journey, my personal spiritual journey, has been about allowing all of this. And as I kept allowing, and as I keep allowing, I'd love to share this, that things that would bother me for days or months, keep a nagging voice that, oh, but that thing, oh, but that thing, oh, but that thing, and I would go on ignoring it. Small things, small repairs of the house, small something that somebody said, small something, like, even making a video like this, I am going to go out and appreciate myself, that I have looked into the camera and I have closed my eyes, but You know what I mean. Like, I've been talking here for 35 minutes straight. I didn't prepare. I'm speaking from experience. I opened so many topics. I don't know how many you were able to grasp, because a lot of it you can grasp from experience. I know that if you are here, you can feel it, that what I'm talking about works or would potentially work. But I'm not talking about you right now. I'm bringing it back to me. And this is also an important thing I learned. Bring it back to yourself. Integrate within. Always integrate within. So I've done such a long video, and I truly believe that I started maybe 50 points through the video. I have been able to tie them all back in, right? I'm somebody who has all the symptoms of ADHD, but I'm right here right now sitting and doing this. Why? Because I allowed my ADHD, and my focus goes from here to there to there to there to there. I don't sit and complain that it's going from here to there to there to there. I dance with it, I flow with it. And then when I'm peaceful and sorry, I was getting a call. So I let my attention go from here to there to there to there. And when I'm peaceful and when I'm calm and when I'm in my zone and when the universe's light is flowing through me beautifully, at that time I say, hey, how can we expand right now? How can right now I focus on something at hand? And that's where I overcome my shadows and bring it into light. So all of what I shared here has been about integrating. I can go on talking about integrating within non-stop. I will say one thing: the barp of all problems, the grandfather of all problems is self-judgment. So if you were to work on one thing, start with that, because that in itself will help you work on a lot of things. But if you, as you listen to this, feel called to bring beautiful changes in your life, transformations, not changes, not, oh, that person is not listening to me, I'm not getting a raise. These are byproducts of the work you will do on yourself. But if you feel called to transform your very being, if you feel called to work from a place of being rather than a place of doing, if you want to bring ease and magic into your life, reach out to me and we will work together in whatever capacity you and I find it making more sense. Because this is what I do, and this is what I want to spread in the world. We're all meant to live easy, joyous, expansive lives. Once you create this, you don't have to sit and work on tiny problems of, oh, couples therapy, or, oh, my parents aren't listening to me, or, oh, how do I make money? All of it gets taken care of. All of it is a non-issue. So make yourself a non-issue and see how that transforms into your life being a non-issue. So I will wrap this here. If please comment down below whatever you feel, because that helps me, or DM me if you don't want to comment publicly, but comment also. Share this with people who might find this helpful. Know this was about me reflecting on my journey and sharing, and not necessarily a holistic teaching. But if there is stuff from here that you would just simply want answers to, you can even DM the questions to me or write them in the comment box, and before I do the next video I will integrate that. With that, bye bye, thank you for listening.